Good evening, everyone. I want to take the opportunity to thank everyone for taking time out of their busy and manic schedules to come and to join with the Minkov family, with our Kehillah, our congregational family, and our community that is still in a profound state of avelus, a profound state of mourning and loss over the loss of Rachel, Rachel Tova Zichrona Livracha Bas Yehuda Avram. Chazal tell us that mourning is structured in order to allow the pain to diminish over time. And the different behaviors of mourning reflect the intensity, the emotional intensity of loss. And so Chazal told us that we go from Shiva, where we feel pure, unadulterated, searing pain, to Shloshim, where hopefully the things begin to diminish just a little, a reintegration into the world. From Shloshim into the remaining 11 months of mourning, ultimately to the yard site. But there are some losses that are so profound. There are some losses that are so exceptionally tragic that neither Shiva, Shloshim, Yud Beis Chodesh, or years could really fill the void. And such is a loss that we come here tonight to mark. The goal of tonight is to, yes, on one hand, mark the Shloshim, to mark this next stage of the mourning process. But more importantly, it's to come together as a community. Because I think if there's one thing that's become clear over the last 30 days, is that the loss of Rachel is something that has profoundly affected all of us. And so although our pain can in no way match the pain of Judah and Judy, John, Sam, and Nicole, but we as the extended Minkov family just want you to know that Ima Anochi B'tzara, we share your pain, we feel your loss, and hopefully by shouldering it together as a family, as a community, we hope to bring some nechama to all of you. At this point in time, I'd now like to invite Judah and Judy to share with us a few introductory remarks.
I also would like to welcome everyone tonight to commemorate the end of the Sheloshim period that we observe for Rachel. I would like to thank Suburban Orthodox Congregation for all the support given to our family throughout Rachel's illness and also the last 30 days. Thank you for hosting the Sheloshim and all the work that has gone into it. Our family also owes a very special thanks to Rabbi Shmuel Silver for his support, friendship, and tremendous acts of kindness he has shown us. The culmination of Sheloshim marks the end of the official mourning period. Rachel will always be in our hearts and minds. However, to move on, we should take a lesson from Rachel herself. She always looked forward and moved forward. I recently saw a quote attributed to an Israeli colonel, Shmuel Gonen, who was the commander of the 7th Brigade during the Six-Day War. And it goes like this. When you hear the order move, you tank soldiers will understand that move, for us, the Israeli Defense Force, means in only one direction, forward. Because we, the Jewish people, have nowhere else to go. This statement epitomizes Rachel's attitude toward life when she was well and during her illness. Emulating her helps us, as her family, and our ability to move on. I would like to conclude with the last part of the Mishnah that I studied for the Siyum Mishnayos, which was done in Rachel's memory. I would also like to thank all of those who participated in this honor to her memory. The last chapter of Moed Katan deals with the laws of mourning, and the last Mishnah ends with Avola Asilovo Hu Omer Bilah Hamavis Lanetzach U'Macha Hashem Elokim Dima Me'al Kol Panim. Translated, in the future, he, the author of the Mishnah, used to say, and he quoted a verse from Isaiah, he will swallow up death forever, and God will wipe tears from all our faces. I'd like to call upon Judy to introduce the video.
Wow. First, I want to thank you all so much for coming this evening to pay tribute to our beloved daughter of blessed memory. A special thanks to our family members and friends who traveled from far away to join us tonight. Truly, words alone cannot possibly describe the profound gratitude we feel for the exceptional kindnesses and empathy that our family has received over the past 4 years, and especially now as we mourn the loss of our beautiful Rachel. When we learned of Rachel's illness in 2008, our wonderful family, friends, and community hovered over us to prevent us from descending into this deep well of despair. They did everything conceivable to lift our spirits throughout Rachel's prolonged cancer journey. In countless ways, they did. They prayed, all of you came together. There were gifts of all kinds, books, magazines, snacks, flowers, loving messages, emails, letters, races, triathlons, food, all kinds of food, rides to Hopkins, to name a few. They gave us all the strength to go on. You gave us the strength to go on. And members of this shul in particular, led by the ever-compassionate and inspiring Rabbi Silver, Shlita, rose up like a wave in support and concern, to quote a dear colleague of mine, Marjorie. She wrote also that we watched how Rachel did amazing things that shone out in goodness and courage, how your rabbi was open enough to weep out of his love for you all, how Judaism is a showcase for godliness. Well, sometimes it takes someone outside of our community to help us appreciate our strengths, and it's all well-deserved. But it crosses all religions. I've seen such incredible kindness from the depths of people's hearts. And it is so unbelievable. So thank you all again for your boundless love and support. I can't tell you what a tremendous source of comfort it's been. In a couple of minutes, we'll be sharing a very special video with you. Many of you have already seen the poignant film about Rachel ringing the radiation oncology bell, a little-known tradition at Johns Hopkins Hospital to signify the end of treatment. On that day, that beautiful day in the fall of 2009, we had reason to believe that Rachel was done with her treatment, as there was no radiographic evidence of disease. Sadly, a few months later, she had a recurrence. Still, that amazing video, which was posted on YouTube, has inspired thousands of people. The Hopkins Human Resources team liked it so much that they began to show it at the end of orientation at Johns Hopkins Hospital. I was told that it never failed to move the new hires. The genius behind that video is another dear colleague, videographer extraordinaire Maureen Martin. She's produced and continues to craft insightful videos about the patient experience and medical advances at Hopkins. Well, not long after the bell ringing video was released, I would run into Maureen, and she'd mention, "Oh, Judy, one day I have to show you some of the footage that never made it into the video." Because you see, Maureen spent at least 2 hours at my house while I was at work and just let Rachel talk. She asked her questions and she let her talk. And over the years, Maureen said, "One day I'm going to compile all that material and make it into another video, and so you can appreciate what your incredible daughter is all about." So, of course, we got busy, but now that day has come. Maureen has wowed us again as a special tribute and gift to our family. This lovely, award-winning, yet ever so humble video producer crafted yet another piece, powerful piece, featuring Rachel, perhaps at her most hopeful and radiant time. I want to warn you, brace yourselves. It may be difficult to watch so soon after Rachel's passing, but I can almost guarantee you that it'll be worth your while. And as Judah pointed out to me after viewing the video, although that interview took place 3 years ago, Rachel would most assuredly have answered the questions the same way, even as her condition worsened. So thank you, Maureen, for this precious gift. And thanks to all of you for opening your hearts once again to celebrate Rachel's exceptional spirit. What a comfort to feel your collective compassion at this most trying time in our lives. May Rachel's memory serve as a blessing, and may God bless all of you with good health, happiness, and success in all your pursuits.
Just a little under 3 weeks from now, we will begin to celebrate the Yom Tov of Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of the Jewish New Year. But we know, of course, that it is much more than just a calendrical event. We know, as the Talmud tells us, B'Rosh Hashanah Kol Bo'ei Olam Ovrin Lefanav. It's on Rosh Hashanah that every man, woman, and child comes before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, comes before God for judgment for the coming year. And there's so much that's decided. Who will live? Who will die? Who will prosper? Who will wither? Who will find tranquility? And who will be enveloped in life turbulence? And halacha, Jewish law, struggles with how we are supposed to relate to this day. Some opinions hold that one is supposed to fast over the course of Rosh Hashanah. One is not supposed to spend the day in a state of celebration. What one is not supposed to treat it as one would any other Yom Tov. There's too much at stake. There's too much going on. And so one should spend the day in a state of fasting and supplication. The Talmud relates that although we say Hallel, we sing praises to God on each and every one of our Yomim Tovim, on Rosh Hashanah we don't say Hallel. And to borrow from the words of the Talmud, Sifrei Chaim v'Sifrei Mesim Pesuchin Lefanav, v'Yisrael Omrim Shira Lefanai. Is it possible that the books of life and books of death are open before God, and we will launch into song-filled praise? Even those who would not fast and would partake of holiday meals over Rosh Hashanah, some had the custom not to eat meat and drink wine. Others, like the great Kabbalist Viari, would cry throughout the entire davening, throughout the entire prayer service on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. But yet we find contradictory motifs. We find that Rosh Hashanah cuts off mourning in the same way that any other Yom Tov does. That if someone is sitting Shiva Rachmana Litzlan and Rosh Hashanah occurs, the Shiva halts. If one is in the midst of Sheloshim observance, Rosh Hashanah arrives and the Sheloshim ends. And so we're left trying to understand, which one is it? In under 3 weeks from now, when we come to Shuvah and Rosh Hashanah, We struggle to understand, are these days of mourning? Are these days of fear and trepidation? Are these days of fasting? Or are they days of celebration? Are they days of Yom Tov? And I think to appreciate the complex nature of these days, we look at a fascinating passage in the Talmud. The section we quoted before in part ends with the following words. Be'Rosh Hashanah kol bo'ei ha'olam ovrin lefanov. On Rosh Hashanah, all living creatures pass before God, kibnei maron. And the Talmud tries to understand, what is the meaning of that phrase, kibnei maron? The Talmud gives three interpretations. Hacha targimu. In Israel, they understood that phrase, kibnei amarna, like sheep. And Rashi HaKadosh explains that the image the Talmud is trying to paint is that just as when the farmer counts his sheep, he only makes a very small opening in the pen so that each animal must pass individually before the shepherd. So too on Rosh Hashanah, there is no safety in numbers. We come before God as individuals. A second opinion, Kima'alos b'nei Maron, like the steps of the city of Maron. And Rashi points out that the city of Maron was built on a hillside with a very steep incline, and there was only one very narrow set of steps that led up and down. And you could not traverse those steps in pairs. You could only walk one at a time. A very similar imagery to the sheep. But Rabbi Yehuda comes along and gives one last answer. And he says, Kechayolos shel beis David. He says, B'nei Maron means like strong, valiant soldiers of King David's army. My friends, we've all done things that we're not proud of. We've all made mistakes. There are things that we have done over the course of the last year for which we must ask forgiveness from God. There are things that we have done over the course of the last year for which we must ask forgiveness from one another. But we have a choice as to how we enter into Rosh Hashanah. We have a choice as to how we choose to approach God. We have a choice as to how we approach the days of judgment. We can approach God in a meek fashion. We can approach God like sheep, docile. We can approach God one by one with our head bent, lamenting what we have done, and fearful because we know not what the coming year holds. Because we know how vulnerable we are. We know how susceptible we are. We know in reality how although we think we are so strong and solid, each of us has our weakness. Or we could come before God like valiant soldiers. Kechayolos beis David. And say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, yes, we've made many mistakes over the past year. Yes, you've seen our failings. But God, I'm confident that if you give me another year, if you bless me with one more year of life, I'll do something significant. I'll do something beautiful. I'll do something noteworthy. I'll do something holy. Kechayolos Beis David. When the soldiers of David marched before the general populace, they marched with their heads held high because they knew they were something special. And so we have the choice to go into Rosh Hashanah, yes, confronting all of our frailties and our failings, all of our weaknesses, all of our sins. But nevertheless, with a head held high, because we know that despite all of the failings and weaknesses, we are capable of accomplishing great things. This is the dispute in the Gemara. Kol ba'ei olam, over in the fun of Kibnei Maron. Yes, we must all come one by one. But do we come as meek, subservient sheep, resigning ourselves to our circumstances? Or do we come as strong, valiant, brave warriors, willing to admit our flaws, but willing to seize the challenge ahead of us, to live beautifully, to live holy lives? This is the tension of Rosh Hashanah. Do we fast because we have been sheep? Or do we celebrate because we are ready to be soldiers? And my dear friends, the amazing part is that the halacha Jewish law resolves this tension for us. The Shulchan Aruch writes, Ochlim v'shosim usmeichim. You know what we do on Rosh Hashanah? We eat, we drink, and we celebrate. Ve'ein mis'anin b'Rosh Hashanah. And we will not fast. Because yes, we will come before HaKadosh Baruch Hu kibnei maron, but not like sheep. Kechayolos Beis David, like Davidic, strong, valiant soldiers, ready to embrace the challenge of living, ready to embrace our frailties, ready to overcome our difficulties, and ready to make the most of our circumstances, no matter what they may be. And we don't ignore these frailties and vulnerabilities that exist all around us. Because the same Shulchan Aruch also says that despite the fact that we will eat, drink, and not fast, we will not recite Hallel, because we must recognize the vulnerabilities and dangers that do in fact surround us on all sides. Our hope and our optimism for the future must be grounded in a reality. One of the questions that so many people have asked me, and I'm sure they've asked the Minkov family as well, not just over the last 30 days, but over the last 4 years, is how was Rachel able to maintain such an incredible perspective? That video, that magnificent video, was a 6-minute glimpse into 4 years of unbreakable spirit. How did she do it? How did she muster that strength and that courage? And my friends, let me tell you something that I learned from our dear Rachel. There is no recipe for hope and optimism. There is no recipe for becoming Chayalos Beis David, for becoming a Davidic soldier. It's a choice we must make in life. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can read. There's no chapter of Psalms that one can say. There's no program or retreat you can go to that is going to teach you the art of optimism. There is no Rebbe or Rebbe or teacher or instructor who could convey to you what it means to possess the unstoppable fire of hope. You know how you acquire these traits? You choose to have them. You wake up in the morning and you make a conscious decision that this is the person I am going to be. This is the life outlook that I am going to adopt. Not because my circumstances lend themselves to this outlook. Not because my life is one that should be filled with hope or with optimism. But because this is the approach that I choose. Rachel made her choice. Not because it was easy. Not because it even made sense. Rachel made her choice to say Hara. She made her choice to become a beacon of hope and optimism. Because she realized it was the only way to propel herself forward in the midst of difficult circumstances. As I was preparing my thoughts for tonight, I came across the letter of recommendation that I wrote for Rachel when she applied to social work school. And I'm going to read to you one paragraph of it. Rachel's an extraordinary young woman who has faced significant challenges in her lifetime. Her ability to deal with personal circumstances and the life-threatening illness is remarkable. Her perseverance, life stamina, constant optimism, and unbreakable spirit are a true indication of her maturity and her ability to master any life situation. My friends, as we prepare to enter into the new year, as we prepare to greet the Yemei Hadin, the days of judgment, a new year with so many unknowns, a year that we hope will have much simcha, much happiness, but that we know inevitably will also bring with it challenge and adversity. We have a choice we must make. Will we be sheep or will we be soldiers? Will we crumble before the burdens of difficulty, or will we find a way to stoke our internal fire of optimism and hope? It's our choice. It was Rachel's choice. Such we hope that in the merit of our learning Mishnah, that the neshama of our loved one, the neshama of our Rachel Tova Zichrono Bas Yehuda Avram, will have an aliyah. And at this point in time, I'd like to invite John and Sam to come forward. Sam will learn with us the last Mishnah of Shas Mishnayos, the Mishnah in Uktzin. John will then recite the Hadrons, the concluding prayers, which will then be concluded by Kaddish, recited by Judah.
The last Mishnah in Uktzin says, Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says, Atid HaKadosh Baruch Hu lahanchil l'chol tzadik v'tzadik shalosh me'ot v'asara olamot. In the future, God will endow each and every righteous person with 310 worlds. As it says, Shneamar, Lahanchil ohavei yesh va'otrotehem amalei, to endow with substance those that love me, and I shall fill their treasures. Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Chalafta, Shimon Chalafta says, Lo matzah HaKadosh Baruch Hu kli machazik baracha l'Yisrael ela hashalom. God found no vessel to hold blessing for Israel other than peace. Shneamar, Hashem ozli amo yitain, Hashem yivarech et amo b'shalom. Hashem gives strength to His nation, Hashem blesses His nation with peace.
Hadron alach Shita Sidrei Mishnah v'Hadron alan Datan alach Shita Sidrei Mishnah v'Datan alach Lo nitnishem minach Shita Sidrei Mishnah v'lo titnishem minan Lo ba'alma hadin v'lo ba'alma date.
Yiskadav v'yiskadash shemei rabba v'yamad dihu asil yischadata v'achaya meisaya v'asaka yashon l'chaya oma v'mivnei karta d'Yerushalayim v'lishachlallah hechal b'gaveh v'mekad pochanan nevra'a min hara v'asavad pochanav d'Yerishmaya v'asrei v'yamlich kudsha b'richu v'machusu v'yikarei v'chayechon v'yimechon v'chaydecho beis Yisrael v'agalav yisman kariv v'imru amen v'hei shmei rabba v'larach v'yalam v'mei amaya yisbarach v'yishtabach v'yisbar v'yisramam v'yisnaseh v'yisadar v'yisaleh v'yisalach shmei d'kudsha b'richu le'elah minkov rachasa v'shirasa tushbechasa v'nechamasa d'amiram b'yalma v'imru amen al Yisrael v'al rabbanan v'al tamidehon v'al kol tamidei samidehon v'al kol man da'askim v'yaraisa d'v'yasra hadein v'divachol asar v'asar Yehei lahonu l'chon shalom araba china v'chisa v'rachamin v'chayina richin v'mizdoner v'vichei v'forkanami kadam avahun v'yishmaya v'yara v'imra amen Yehei shalom araba mishemaya v'chayim tovim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imra amen Yaseh shalom v'imramav hu b'rachamav yaseh shalom aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imra amen.
Just before we conclude the Sheloshim commemoration, first of all, I want to acknowledge all of those who are joining us via the web through the live streaming. From what I understand, it's people in a number of different locations, and it's just another testament to the fact that even at such a young age, Rachel had such a profound effect and impact on so many people. I also want to draw your attention on the back of your programs. You will see a little description and write-up of the Rachel Minkov Memorial Fund. This is a fund, Baruch Hashem, that we are starting that will be devoted to educational, social programming for young adults, as well as diversified services for young adults facing and battling illness. This is something that we know was very important to Rachel. During her lifetime, one of the major reasons and motivations for her choosing to go into social work was the fact that she, because of her perspective and because of her experiences, wanted so desperately to be able to help others. The commitment we make here tonight to Rachel's neshama is that we will continue where you left off. We will not allow your dreams and aspirations to end. We will not allow your goals to come to a grinding halt. But all the things that were important to you, helping others, being there for others, now become our communal and familial priority. This fund, in Yirtzeh Hashem, is going to do many, many wonderful things in the future. And each and every one of the accomplishments will be a direct credit to Rachel's neshama, and hopefully will bring some level of nechama to the Minkov family. If you would like to donate to the fund, you could either see me, Bill Rosenfeld, our executive director, or any of the members of the Minkov family. We should hope that as we close out this year, Tafshin Ayin Beis 5772, we should hope that this will be the end of our personal, communal, and national tsar. We should hope that, God willing, the coming year should bring for us consolation, beauty, happiness, simcha. Then in Rachel's memory we pledge that even should we encounter difficulty as individuals or as a collective, we pledge to be soldiers, just like she was. Thank you all for coming.